I'm a Danish handball coach. I'm 48 years old. I'm working as head coach in Skjern Handball right now. Has done that since July. Started as an assistant coach last summer. Before that, I have been in the Danish Handball Federation on the male side for 15, 16 years, starting as regional coach and then become youth national coach and head of the talent development on the male side. So that's my primary work over the last 20 years, you can say.
How happy are you that you are right now coach for a men's team and not working in the federation? So how is the difference in your work and your motivation?
My motivation is still good. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been here and not been working with handball for that many years. I think that the main difference is that working with the young talents and development in my approach to it, then it's very much about developing the talent, the player, working with the whole human being and not only handball, and not thinking in that much in results. And here, of course, I am measured on if we are winning games or we are losing games, but it's still handball and it's still developing players. In my opinion, talent is not about age, it's about your mindset. If you are curious, if you want to develop and become a better handball player, then I still believe you could be called a talent even if you are 35 or 38.
Did you see maybe 3 differences right now in your work? Are you different acting as a coach on the field, or did you prepare the practice in a different way? Can you give us 3 examples maybe when you see?
Yeah, of course. In the work with the players, there's a huge difference between meeting the players maybe 6, 9 times a year, and then here working with the players in everyday life. So of course I am much closer to the players here. I can work with them every day, getting to know them every day, getting to know how I can motivate them, how I can stay them on the right track. And of course another difference is the age. When you are working with youth national players, they are between 17 and 21. And that's a different age than here. I have players from 19 to 38. So of course that's also another approach towards the players, how I work with them. In planning the practice, of course there is much more tactical work here, preparing the next match, evaluating the former match. While when I was working as a youth national coach, it was always working with the individual skills, always trying to not make them win at the moment, but be so good so they can win later on when it's important to win. And it's important to win when you become a senior player. It makes no difference when you're a youth player. Of course, it can motivate you and it's nice to win. But from my experience, I can see that a lot of the players who won a lot when they were young, they will never become good senior players because maybe all the winning has made them lazy, or they have become in a position where they think, now I know handball, but nobody knows handball good enough.
In the way when you make an exercise and maybe you correct something or you see something, did you skip things right now when you see something? Did you skip something because you could imagine maybe the player knows what was wrong? Did you skip? Understand?
I understand the question. I definitely stay with my idea about working with the players individual. So I also stop the practice here, talking about if you move a little in that direction, if you pass a little earlier, if you go up a little later, or what it could be. So I will still do that, but not as often as I would do if it was a youth team, because here I will break the rhythm of the practice more. If I do it here, we have to have some flow in our practice, where I could do it more if it's a youth team, and I also think it's important that you do it more at that age. But I still do it here because I'm so lucky. So I have a bunch of players who still want to become better. So they also like to be told, if you do that a little different, then maybe you can create a bigger space, or what it could be.
Is this hard for you?
Yeah. I think working with the people is the most interesting thing. I hope you can hear it when I talk about it. That still the individual development is very important. I think if a team has a individual level here and a collective level here, if you should raise that, you can, in my opinion, just work 6 against 6. You have to make them better here and then improve here. So it's in the end, it's still how good you are 1 against 1, 2 against 2. You can play Yugo, you can play whatever you want. If you're not able to finish it, you don't have the ability to shoot or go 1 against 1, then it doesn't matter what you play.
How important is your tactical structure here in Skjern, and how important was it in the federation? So how many, I would say on an easy way, how many tactical movements do you have here? Did you have more here or more in the federation and the youth national teams?
I have way more here.
Way more?
Yeah, way more. Also because they have had very good coaches before I arrived, so they already have a game. So it's not for me to make a revolution. It's to implement new things, new ideas, smaller things. But the main play is already here. We had very little tactical things when I was a youth national coach, especially under 18, under 19. It was very, very simple, because I really wanted to make them learn handball individual. And of course, when it was under 20 and under 21, then more and more tactical, but not as near as the level here. Also because I think it's very important when you are a youth national coach that you never become a club coach. You have to find new players. You see new players who should have the chance to be brought into the international scene. So when I had a youth national team over 4 years, we had 75, 80 players who put the red shirt on and was proud of that. I think that motivates. And it's more important to motivate a lot of teenagers than to win some medal.
Okay, let's talk exactly about this point, about the selection, about the way when did you start to looking up for the first talents? You 14, you 15, when did they start to come that is a player and it's come on the list? So maybe first in the region and then on whole Denmark. How is this?
The structure is that the federation start local 11 different districts when they are 14 and 15 years old. Then the club coaches pick out players from their team and they bring them into the federation so they can look at them. I think it could be improved a lot if the federation spent the money to go out to the clubs and pick them themselves. Because I'm not sure that I really like the work that the club coaches do, but I'm not sure that they know how to select a player who could be the best in 10 years. Of course, they can see who is the best right now, but in my experience, is that they often forget some of the late bloomers, some of the players that can rise and shine later on. So I think it would be better if you turned it around.
Just one question: is there any options for tournaments in the region, or is this whole selection start at the beginning comes from the club coaches? Yeah,
and somewhere in Denmark where they do it maybe a little on another way. Then they go out and see the players, and of course you also see some club matches. So it's not that if you're not picked the first time, then you can't be picked. But it's how it is, and from there they practice once a month, in 2 years, and then they play some matches, the regions against each other, and then you pick players from there into a group of around 70 players in a generation of 2 years, and from that group you will pick the national team.
The coaches in the districts, in the region, did they came from the federation, or did they also work as a club coach?
They also work as club coach. It is voluntary work in these regions, and I will also say in the first level in the federation it is also almost voluntary work. If you compare how many days and hours they use and what salary they get, then it's not because of that, and luckily it isn't, but still I think that if we in Danish Handball Federation spend more money on that level on the coaches, then we could do a better work.
What are the key facts, the aspects when a coach takes a look at the U15 player? What makes a U15 player a talent?
Yeah, very good question, and very complex question, because it is really interesting, because I think you could look at the level right now, but you have to look into the potential, and I think we tend to look very much at the level right now, not only in the federation but also in the clubs, because the next game is so important, instead of looking at the potential and see how good they can become. If we were better at doing that, then we would have even more talents that we have. But for me, potential is very important, because youth handball and senior handball is two different things, because it's the same court, but the players are growing, they are becoming taller and bigger and broader, wider. So it's different competences that you should have becoming a good senior player than a good youth player.
Is there any, I would say, a paper or something from the federation? Because we can, on an easy describe, we can watch on two things. We can watch, is the player good, or we can take a place, what is the specific of the player? Is he a fast small guy in a one-on-one? Is he a tall guy, or is he really good on shooting things?
Yeah.
Or how did you look especially for these things? Because at the end, we must say that the Danish male national team got a lot of different players with a lot of big strengths.
Yeah.
So how did they?
Well, we are talking, have been talking for 10 years about something we are calling the shelf you have, with a lot of different, just like that on your right. So you can say that. So it's very important that you have left wing, and then you should have players like Anders Eckert, who's good at very specific things. You should have a player like Magnus Landin, who's very good at different things, and then you have Kasper Mortens, who is different, good on some other things. And it's very important that we develop different types on every position, seen over a lot of years, both because then it's easier for the national coach to pick the types that he likes and he needs to win, but also so that we don't look at maybe line player. We have maybe, if we had 10 like René Toft, he's a very, very good line player, but sometimes it's also good to have a type like Anders Zachariasen. So it's very important that the youth national coach and the talent coaches, they really look into different types on different positions, so that we can make the best team from many different qualities.
My last stop was Norway, and one experience there was that they have a really fast game.
Yeah.
And a lot of youth coaches, also from the development for their federation, tell me that this is a problem, because in the youth they have a really fast game, and all the tall players or the big guys fell out of the system because they can't be a part of it.
Exactly.
Is there any like that here in Denmark? Or
Yes.
could you say it's an?
It is exactly the same thing. You can be in a youth team if you are tall but you are still strong. Then you can be into the game. But we have the same issue here, that that it is very hard for the players who go into their maturement and grow very fast in a year to be in a game, because the spaces are so big. So if you are smaller and you have a better control of your body, then it looks much more like good handball than if you have a tall player who it's not that fast and maybe don't catch the ball all the time. The coordination isn't that good developed. But in the end, when you look at international male players, you can see how many that is beyond 192. And then we need to have these players. But I have to say once more, it's still about what are you promoting in youth handball. In Denmark, we are still promoting the teams that win. So you can come into a better group, you can play better matches, and the hype around winning has become much more focused after social media. For example, I think you can talk about talent development before Facebook and after Facebook, because now also the clubs, they are promoting themselves on winning, but who is having the best development atmosphere, who is having the best training? It's not sure. I'm not sure that it's always the team that wins, but if they have the best players right now, or they pick them, then they win, and then all the players go to these clubs.
So a main easy answer for this could be, when the clubs work with social media, they should promote all the talents that play right now in the national team that they grow up and build, more than the results from the last weekend with the United.
I think it's so important how you build your culture in your club, how you promote, what is it you want to promote, because it means a lot for the culture. We also in Denmark many years have had a lack of good defense players, and the best defense players, they become good defense players when they have been abroad, because you are playing much more tough handball in Germany and France. So we can see that the best defense players, they have been abroad. But it's also that when you look at Danish youth matches, you're always talking about attack, who's making the goals. You are never saying, oh, he's a good defender. If we talk more about defense, who is making the blocks, who is making the stops, then I think it would motivate the young players more into defense. So we are making our own mistakes.
The value, or not the value, the sports culture here in Denmark is really big. So you have I think a high percentage that young kids, young children make sports in an organization.
Yeah.
How is the development? The first selection starts at U15. Is there any aspects of a centralization here in Denmark?
In the clubs?
Maybe in the clubs, but maybe more with the schools. So I know that I hear that the best two are Skanderborg and GOG, maybe. So how is that system works with the federation? Are there a lot of centralization, or maybe when it's U15, you like to have all U15 players, the best together the whole month or the whole year? Is there any aspect of that?
No, because we have this traditional structure with a lot of clubs and with a lot of halls, and I think that's the main secret about what you call the Danish success. It's hard to say when you are Dane, but it's nice to hear. But we have, when you look into how many people we are, then we have extremely many handball halls. And then it's easy to get access to handball, and I think that's one of the reasons that we have had that success. In my opinion, this is only my opinion, I think it would be better with less centralization. I can see that, of course, it is good that you practice with good players, but I think right now that we miss that players have to carry their own team. When you have centralized so much, then they get too easy matches. And I can see that some of the players who becomes very good the last 20 years, they have been staying in a smaller local club for a longer time, knowing then when we play Sunday, if I play good, we have a chance to win. If I play bad, then we don't have a chance to win. I think that's a positive pressure, developing players who are able to handle pressure. Instead now, I was watching our under-19 game yesterday, and their bench their bench players are so good, and I think it's a pity that they don't play more handball. It's good when they practice, but I think they play to less minutes to become good handball players. So I would like that we decentralized a lot more.
But when we say, maybe when we take a look at these schools, are there public schools and private schools?
Yeah.
Also, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe, but then they practice in the school, maybe with the best players, and then they go
to the clubs.
To the clubs at the weekend. I think this is a midway of both ways, maybe in my head.
Yeah. And I think they have very good coaches, these places, and they practice very good. But so it's not saying that it's not a good work. I'm just not sure that it's the best for the Danish handball. And the federation, they are not into this centralization. But I would like if the federation had a clearer statement towards what is good centralization, what is bad centralization, so that they have a more clear attitude towards it.
Would you say that these the young talents here in Denmark really have an intrinsic motivation, more than that you have to put a lot of pressure on it, on the players? How could you describe these
mental things?
Yeah, the mental things.
Yeah. I can honestly say that the players succeeding, they have the motivation from inside, and that's to go back to the social media. I see a lot of hype from the outside, and I think it can work for you in a certain period of time, but if you don't have it from the inside, the motivation, then you are not able to put the work into it that you should have. I think there's a lot of fragile, vulnerable young teenagers who have a hard time staying in handball, top handball, if they don't have it from the inside. If it's necessary for you to get praised from the outside to think that handball is good, then I think it's a matter of time when you quit.
You worked for 16 years in the federation.
Yeah.
What are the main changes or the main differences from there to right now? So what did you build up, or was your idea or your vision 16 years back ago? Would you say you reach it?
Good question. No, I didn't reach it because there were still some certain things about it that didn't work when I left. That's also a part of why I left, that I couldn't keep doing the work that I like to do. But that's another story. But I think that we, because it was not only me, of course, but we made an effort to go more into development than results. We looked more into making good senior players than winning in under 18. We did a lot by trying to motivate more players, because we switched so many players also in the youth tournaments when we World Championships, European Championships, that we gave a lot of the young players a chance. So I think we did a lot of things, changing the whole attitude or the mindset about talent development, going to look more from into the long space. You can say we went from using glasses to using, what do you call it?
I have no idea. I know what it is.
What they are when they are looking at the birds. So the perspective became much longer, and I think that was the biggest effort, because I really believe that it benefit a lot of young handball players.
Did you also engage you for the development of the coaches?
Yes, because I think the mindset of the coaches is very important to develop the players. So we did a lot of work in also trying to adjust their perspectives, and I did a lot by saying that it's not important for you to be here if you have success in a club coach to come here. I would like to see you work in your everyday see if you're a good development coach, that you are good in adjusting things and making good practice, then you can come into the federation. So it's to do what you say. That is what was very important.
Oh, okay. So for the
because
mentality.
a lot of players, and coaches, they can say the right thing, but then they go into the hall and do something else different. But it was important to get coaches in that could be the right ambassadors for the Danish way.
Can you describe the stereotype of Danish coach?
Funny question. I think that the typical Danish coach is very good with the players, good at handling players, good on the human aspects. Think that the typical Danish coach is maybe using more time on attack than on defense. We have a lot of creative types. We like the collective things, like passing. We like shooting exercises. We like the exercises 2 against 1, 3 against 2, 4 against 3, and you can see that in the development of the Danish handball player. So I think that is some of the main topics, and it's also coaches that likes to be in the hall a lot of time, spend a lot of hours.
From my view of a board, so from Germany, or maybe right now I talk a lot with the Norwegian coaches. When we describe a Danish coach, then it's always a big impact on the technical things.
Yeah.
And a lot of, right, you say in the beginning of our interview, a lot of stops.
Yeah.
Talk about this situation, talk about the choose of the technique, and then develop the technique. Could you agree with that?
Yeah, I can agree on that. That is not only practice for the practice and the high intensity, but there is a very good tradition that the coaches are good at saying, if you put your arm up or if you put the left foot in front of you. So I think the Danish coach is good in making correctments or adjustments in the different exercises.
And where would you say that the Danish coaches have potential?
On many aspects. I still think that using more time on defense, being better to implement the right physical training, and then I also think, but it's not the you can not blame the coaches on that, because the tradition is if you make good results, then you advance. But I think it would be nice for youth coaches if they work more with all the players, giving attention to all the players in your group and not only the 7 best. That would really be an improvement.
We talk about a little bit about the technical, about the passing, you say it. When we look from the outside, we see this really specific pass technique from the dance. Where does it come from?
I think you have to look maybe 20-25 years back, where we got a lot of inspiration from Sweden, and the Swedish players are also very good at passing. But maybe the Swedish players and the Swedish tradition is more systematic than the Danish. So I think that the twist on the Danish passing technique is maybe that we are a little more, we are not teasing, but we are trying different things. If we are told to make that pass 10 times, then from 7 passes, then we try something else. So I think that we are maybe more creative, and we try to do different things. But there was a generation of coaches, Torben Winther, Ole Nørgaard, Carsten Albrechtsen, Flemming Pedersen, and a lot of other coaches that I also should have mentioned, who put this passing in system in the federation, and then from the federation it went into the clubs, and now it's a very big part of the club training. But if I look at the level right now, I think that the passing technique is not as good as it was maybe 8-10 years ago. The passing technique from the Danish players from maybe 28 to 35 is better than from 20 to 28. That would be my suggestion, or maybe a little provoking to say that, because I think when I see a lot of youth training, I see that they are passing, but they are not stopping. They are just letting them pass, but not telling them why to pass. So all the small adjustments where maybe 15, 20 years ago they whistled, say no, foot here, there. Now they just let them pass.
Flow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that the level of passing is decreasing right now.
Because you're expected, because you think it's culture thing, we have to stay focused on this.
Yeah, and I also think that it's a new generation of players. They are brought up with Netflix. They are brought up with a lot of things where they shouldn't be patient. So young Danish players, don't have patience, and I think maybe we give them too much instead of really trying to put them into the patience that they are not used to, because we are so spoiled as a nation, so we can pick whatever we want to in every situation. We never have to wait. But in handball, and develop in handball, you need to wait and have patience in order to become a good handball player.
Would you say
that's a concern?
Okay. What do you think, how much time did you spend 10 years earlier for passing, so for practice, when we have a 90 minutes practice, and how much is it now?
I think we spend a little less, but not that much, but a little less time passing now, and more 6 against 6 in the youth, which I think is a pity. But the main thing is that we don't correct as much as we did 15 years ago. Okay. Because then you can use 20 minutes on passing, but it's almost a waste of time if you don't tell the players what is good and what is not that good.
Make the corrections.
Exactly.
Yeah. I got these. Could you say that just for the passing?
Yeah.
Could you say that it's first an individual passing, so just a two, and then going into a continuum maybe, or something in a way like that? And can you give us maybe the 3 or 5 words? You say the first thing is a high arm, foot to the goal. Yeah, exactly. The main corrective things.
Correcting things. When you stand there, then it's so important that you are in balance, and it's so important that you cross coordinate. So if I throw with the right arm, then it's the left foot pointing at the goal, and the elbow to the shoulder. Very important that you have mobility in your hip, so you can go around here, and then that you run into the ball, that you're not standing still, and when you pass it, that you have your body towards the goal, and that you are able to pass a little backwards when you pass the ball. That is some of the main things. And then, of course, when they become better at doing that without defense, then the most important thing is that you are able to pass under pressure.
I think this is a really new thing. I saw it here in the U17, I think, that you make passes, I think 60 or 50% of the time with contact. Yeah. And with different situations, maybe the left foot in front or the right foot in front. Exactly. To the left side, to the right side. Exactly. So you have a really high variety. Yeah, and that's important because when you play handball, you don't look in this direction passing, you look in this direction, and you are not making your teammate better if you're not able to go into a space and you can handle a good pass with physical pressure. So that's very important from under 15 and up, that most of the passing is with physical pressure. Okay. One question about back to the coaching development. How is the structure here in Denmark? So when we could say, I don't know, so what is the typical beginning for a coach to go here? Is it did they start early? Did they start late? Did they start after his career? Or a lot of parents maybe, because sports is a huge impact in the culture?
Well, you almost answered it, because that is a combination. We have almost 900 clubs, and there wouldn't be children's handball if there were not parents using their spare time, going into the hall and starting there. So parents, there's a lot of parenting coaching in the youth, and then you get very young people in who played handball themselves, maybe got injured, or maybe found out that they couldn't become as good as they wanted to, and then they go in there. And then of course you also have some coaches who have ended their own career going into coaches. But because of the club structure, there's a lot of tutoring in the clubs, and maybe sometimes a little you can say anarchy towards the federation's development of the coaches, because of course you need the different lecturers to go higher into that, but we also have a lot of coaches who haven't almost never been into a trainer course and still going very high. They are a little picked up by the time now because of the ring convention. I think that's very good, because you can have played very, very good handball, but learning to play handball is a different thing.
What is it? How many steps are there here in Denmark in the federation to reach the highest coaching license?
Well, you start with some children trainer courses, then you can have youth trainer courses, then you have some 5 different trainer courses, which is very broad and which is normal to have if you are maybe having under 15, under 17, maybe senior on the next or first best level. Then you can go into another step, test. It is called to become a diploma coach, and from that you can go into the master coach. So I think it must be six levels before you become a master coach.
What is the main goal of the federation? That they have a idea or vision how their coaches should be. So what topics are really, which topic spends a lot of time for, and which parts are maybe changed 15 years ago?
Oh, I'm not sure I'm the right one to answer that, but I think that that of course the education system is also changing due to the handball is changing and the society is changing. So I think in children's and youth handball it is more technical. It's more about the coaching part, the how you are working with other people, and then when they become older, then it gets more tactical, more physical.
The last topic I think is really interesting. You are also working for the European Handball Federation.
I did that earlier, yeah.
How did they come? So what was your entrance into this world, and how was it?
It was the Danish Federation who asked me if I wanted to be, what can you say, picked for the Danish Federation to be in the European Handball Federation. Well, for me, because I like development in handball, then it was fantastic. It was fantastic to go around in different European countries, trying to spread out the Danish way. I think just like you, a lot of other nations, they are also looking at Denmark, just like we are looking out. There's a lot of looking into, so it was very nice to go out in different nations and trying to give them insight in how we are developing Danish handball players.
Could you imagine that there was one story or one country which you're really interested in?
Oh, I think it was different from where you come. It was very interesting to go to Hungary, where they have that license. So when I went there, then there was 700 coaches in the hall, because everybody need that stamp or the license to go in. So that was very, very interesting to see the culture having so many coaches. Then I'm very fascinated of Slovenian handball, So I was very proud to go there and see and talk to them and see how they work. And then it's also very interesting, for example, to go to Latvia, smaller country, smaller handball country, to see how very, very eager and dedicated persons are trying to keep up handball in their country. It was then you really see how privileged we are here in Denmark in order to develop handball players. So it's different angles, different ideas you get from different countries.
Could you imagine that you go abroad sometimes?
No, I don't think so.
No?
No.
Why?
Well, my family is, we are very happy to be in this region. I would like to be a consultant for other nations and help them to work, but I don't think I would go to another country. Then I think I have already done it.
Oh, okay. And maybe when we just put the family away, maybe, so it's not, you are, I don't know, 25 years old, so
yeah, of course,
20 years ago.
Yeah. It would be nice with the adventure, and it's also nice to go around and meet other people. But when you have children going into school and they like their school, and then these things get so important. So I don't think so. Okay. But I like to go abroad, being a tutor, but I don't think I would go
abroad as a coach, maybe to make a challenge or
no, it should be a consultant for a federation to work with their talent development. That could be interesting.